Good evening and welcome to the T-Mobile Center in downtown Kansas City. I'm Neal Jones alongside Mark Poulose, right? I used to work with you, but you took, it's like taking off Super Bowl week. Mark decides, hey, it'd be fun to go play golf for a week right during the women's basketball tournament, the men's basketball tournament.
Spring break down in Texas, and yes, I did sneak in 3 rounds while I was gone.
What'd you shoot?
Around 80 the whole time. It's early on, and also in Texas, I didn't anticipate this. Extremely windy, and the ball rolls forever. Here, the grass doesn't do that. The grass, it kind of sucks up the ball. In Texas, boy, that ball, you get 330-yard drives.
That's why I lived in Oklahoma and Texas. But welcome back to Kansas City, and welcome to a very special night of basketball. It's been an unbelievable 2 days of basketball, really. All 8 teams that teed it up yesterday in this tournament were virtual locks to make the NCAA tournament. In all the years I've been coming up here, and I think I started in 1984, was my first time coming up to then Kemper Arena to cover the then Big 8 tournament. I have never seen this quality of power rankings in the field. It's unbelievable. And now you've got the final 4 teams in this tournament that are legitimate teams to think about making the Final Four of March Madness. Talking about this early game, Iowa State might as well be a home team taking on the nation's #1 team in Arizona. Then the evening game is going to be a bloodbath because 2 coaches that want their teams to be physically tough and go at it, in Kelvin Sampson in Houston and Bill Self in the University of Kansas. Mark, as you look at this first matchup, we're surrounded by Iowa State fans. They're going to have a big advantage.
No, they certainly are. I mean, I actually was saying this to some Iowa State fans earlier. I have never seen the Power and Light District so full except for Chiefs playoff games. The Kansas Jayhawks don't pack it like this. Kansas State, would you agree with that?
I would say that it reminded me of 4 or 5 of the biggest events they've had here, including Kansas in the Final Four, Super Bowl watch parties. Maybe the All-Star game had a big thing because people couldn't get in. And then the Women's World Cup Championship, when they were playing for the championship on a weekday, you couldn't park. It was so packed.
No, I'm certainly we are surrounded by Iowa State fans, and that's a good thing. I guess I have a little bit of a soft spot in my heart because they come here and they love Kansas City so much, so why don't we love them back? But, boy, you talk about this basketball game. We have 2 bona fide, not only Final Four contenders, but, Neal, these are 2 national championship contenders here playing tonight, Iowa State and Arizona. You look at this, of the 4 teams playing today, I think you can say 3 of them are national title contenders, and the last one, Kansas, could be a national title contender if they play well. But Arizona, Iowa State, tough matchup. What are your thoughts?
Well, I really believe that Kansas, even Kansas, if they bring their A game, they are capable of beating anybody, anywhere, at any time, because they have some explosive players, and it seems like almost everybody who's in their rotation of the top 7 guys has had a game where they went off for 25 or 28 points. Every single one of them. They don't expect it, but it's something that's very possible. It'll be interesting. The other subplot that's been going on in this soap opera is the one involving the basketball court. 1 week ago, it was the neatest thing ever. Networks all around the world doing stories. It was in USA Today. It was in all the newspapers and on all the websites.
It was on KCTV5.com, Neal. Don't bury the lead.
Well, there's no doubt about it. And that's, as you know, I read that all the time because I'm paid to read it all the time. But the reality is it got a lot of national publicity. I got phone calls. People looking for you, wanting to do live shots on Tuesday for the network, for CBS Sports Network, for other networks, ESPN. They all wanted video, they all wanted interviews, and they all wanted to talk to someone who was on the ground to tell them what it looks like. So in a period of about 7 days, it goes from being unbelievably good for the league to, oh, maybe this is bad for the league. Maybe this is a black eye. Yesterday afternoon, Christian Anderson, a very good player for Texas Tech, his foot clearly slides sideways on the court and going for a loose ball. He pulls a muscle in his leg. At the time, it looked terrible. He walked off. I think he's going to be okay long term. But so Texas Tech loses him. And he and his coach, they did not start crying and, oh, this is why we lost. But they were like, the floor's a little slick, and it affected them. And so that became a big story. The coaches began to talk about, look, we all have hopes of going really deep in March, do we really want to lose a player in the Big 12 tournament because of a slick floor? Why don't we pull back and try this again next year or 2 years from now when they perfected the floor, and let's just go back to wood. They had a wood floor ready, standing by in case this happened. So I don't think it ends up being a black eye. Scott Van Pelt and all those people nationally are complaining. Look, you can get hurt on any floor.
No, you can, but to me, this is a little bit, this is the Brett Yormark era of the Big 12. He is going to do things that are going to get attention of people, that are going to try to raise the conversation about the league in an effort to kind of raise the conference prestige. But to me, the big question is, was the juice worth the squeeze? You debut this glass floor, and it's not for an exhibition game. It's not for a non-conference game. It's not for a regular season conference game. It's literally for postseason basketball when the stakes are the highest. And obviously, I know it got a lot of traction on social media, online, on TV, all over the place. But it's just like, in my opinion, it kind of made the Big 12 a joke. Like people are outside. What are they doing? Why are they playing on a glass floor? Why are they holding games that have NCAA tournament implications on a surface that the players never play on for real games? It's just, was the juice worth the squeeze? My answer, no.
I don't think there's any question but that Sam McDowell, who wrote a nice column today in the Kansas City Star, he really bagged on the Big 12, saying, sizzle, they're all after the sizzle. Look, in college basketball, that's what conference commissioners do.
Yep.
That's what he was brought in to do, to make more money so this league could survive. That's the only way it can survive, is if it makes more money. He's the one conference commissioner who said, look, I do not want football to be the only revenue stream. I want to sell our basketball rights as a separate entity because we have a great basketball product, certainly as good as most conferences are in football. So I admire his zeal. I don't think it was a bad idea. I do think they need to vet the floor a little more, and that's the thing Sam wrote that I absolutely agree with. This floor should have been put down someplace during the regular season where college teams were playing on it. It could be NMIAA. It could be any other type of league, and let basketball players play on it, and let's make an informed decision. I do not think look, there are injuries on every floor. I covered the Big 8 tournament in 1988, the year Kansas won it. On Friday night, KU's point guard goes down with a slight knee injury. It looked the exact same. Kevin Pritchard went down, his foot slipped on a regular wood floor. I blew out both of my ACLs in both of my knees playing basketball on a wood floor. So just because you're on wood does not make you impervious to injury. But I do agree that, this is something that you need to probably vet. I will say this, the commissioner told our photographer, Edwin Watson, who actually got an exclusive one-on-one with the commissioner this morning at a Big 12 breakfast, he did say, look, we made it clear I wanted input. And if people didn't like it at the women's tournament, we wouldn't have used it. We would have stopped using it. That's why they had a wood floor standing by, and so that's what they ended up doing. I do think, even last night I talked to the players in the KU locker room. What do you think about it? Well, it's not that bad. It's kind of like any other floor. I played on blacktops. In high school, we played on bad floors. You do. It's basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball. And when I said, what does your family, what do your friends think about it? They all said the same thing. They love it.
Well, I think that brings up a good point. The floor is the same for everybody, no matter what the surface is, so it's kind of interesting there. But I think the absolute nightmare scenario for the Big 12 maybe today is that they do switch, obviously, which they are, to this hardwood floor and someone gets injured on that floor. But back to the glass floor, Neal, I think you can make an argument that, in Brett Yormark's favor, that it was an absolute masterclass of PR. And it did raise a lot of attention for the league, and it did get a lot more eyeballs on the Big 12, because first they announced it, people started talking about it. Then they released a video of what it was going to do. People started talking about it. Then they brought out the media for an expose of the floor. More people started talking about it. They had the women's tournament. Then more people, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. But I think when the players truly started to complain, these are college age kids. They are, 18 to 23, 24 years old. I don't know if they're really going to go out in the media and openly bash things. And they were just some of them were just like, this floor is not safe, this floor, and they're college-age kids, and the athletes are the experts. No one else. We can't say, oh, the floor is safe if the basketball player jumping on it doesn't like it, because that's what matters.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because the players were talking last night about the fact it's a softer floor. It's softer than wood, and it's easier on their knees. That's one reason why the NBA has been testing this floor for practices, because they think it's actually better on legs, better. You know how many, they play 82 regular season games. They're trying to come up with a softer floor that has the same playability. Is it the same? Probably not. But, even last night, Bill Self said, guys, what'd you think? And they go, I didn't have any trouble sliding. And, I mean, that's the guy who's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft, presumably, for KU. But anyway, it's a nice, interesting side bit on what is a tremendous tournament. And it is so much fun that Iowa State won and that they're packing this place. Kansas won. They're packing this place. I only wish Kansas State had a better season this year, because if their fans were here, this is what you want. You want excitement. You want it to mean something.
And you want the storylines, like the glass.
Yes.
That's what we want. You want the juice. And I mean, think about the 4 teams that are going to play tonight. We were talking about this a little bit earlier, but every single one of these teams are Final Four contenders. Like, you look at Arizona, I believe, leads the entire country with 15 quadrant 1 wins. And then Iowa State, Kansas, Houston, the level of basketball that we're going to see tonight here is going to be unbelievable.
No question about it. Another thing that Brett Yormark talked about this morning is, he said, we are committed to Kansas City through 2031, which you reported in one of your earlier stories this afternoon on KCTV5. What he also told our photographer, Edwin Watson, was, and we're going to go longer than that. He offered that. We're committed through 2031, and we're going to go longer, because this is a college basketball town.
Absolutely.
You could put it in Vegas, and it would be very exciting, but Las Vegas, as we found out, even the Super Bowl got swallowed up a little bit in Las Vegas. And so I do think, I covered this tournament in Oklahoma City, which would have been great prior to the NBA coming to Oklahoma City. But after the Thunder went to Oklahoma City, that became an NBA town, not a college basketball town. I covered this tournament in Dallas, and nobody cared. There was no juice. There was no excitement. Nobody was going out. Anywhere you went, there'd be fans, but they'd be in the corner, and there'd be all these other people there. So no, this is the one place, and it's not, I covered this when I was in Oklahoma. This is the one spot where people can come together. I only hope that this league continues to be bigger and stronger, because it makes this tournament even special.
I love that you actually brought that up, because when they did have the kind of first reveal of the floor for the media, I actually got to talk to the Big 12 marketing director, and he was saying, he's like, yeah, we have our football down in Texas and all that, but he's like, basketball is our Kansas City home. And like,
yep.
I mean, they come here, they have the Big 12 media days for men's and women's, they have the men's and women's tournament here. I mean, the women's tournament, what was it, 2-3 years ago, they moved it from municipal right down here. Look around, like, I mean, I am still just in shock every single year by the amount of people that come out here. But Neal, we got to talk about some of these.
Well, I'm a little worried about the women's tournament. There is a school of thought, and some of the women's coaches believe this, that it will do better if it's this week in another town. And obviously Texas has great college basketball, not necessarily every year. So there's an argument that they think that they should split the women from the men. It used to be split. It used to be in a smaller town out west, I think Hutchinson, or it was in another town, and it was supported pretty well, but it was in a lesser facility. They want an equal facility. They love this facility. I don't think they're thrilled with the lack of attendance, though.
Well, yeah, that's definitely something to consider. I mean, sometimes they do get swallowed up here in this big arena. I mean, it was obviously made for professional sports and other things, and it is what it is. But Neal, I got to ask you. So obviously, they switched the court here for the semifinals and the championship for the men. Are you surprised that they did not do that for the women?
They didn't have an injury that I know of. This was on television. The ESPN analyst said, "Oh, clearly he slipped." The play-by-play did. Then the analyst said he slipped. And I admire the young man, because during the press conference he was not crying about it. He's like, "Yeah, I was going for it. I slipped a little bit, and it kind of put me in an awkward situation with my leg." And his coach, Grant McCaslin, another impressive guy, a really good basketball coach, said, it was a little bit of a challenge because we're not used to it. And Mark, I think it makes me almost think that almost everybody should play on this court at some time or another. They need to have this court, and teams come in and play on it. during the regular season so they know what they're doing.
No, that is an interesting point. But when we were doing the expose out here, the glass floor that was used here, obviously for the women's tournament and through these games, is housed in Orlando. And so when Big 12 teams went to go visit UCF, they were all afforded an opportunity to go out there and see the court. But again, like, there's no way to simulate a game environment. Like,
was it like at Disney? Was it like next to Disney? Could you play against Goofy and Mickey and the guys in a little pickup game?
You know what? I'm sure you could. But it's just, to me, I know it got a lot of attention, but I'm still in shock that for games of this magnitude, for both the men and women, the first time that they used it was in a postseason tournament. Like, that's not the way to introduce a new surface.
Well,
you have to do it in a different setting.
But look, I talked to basketball people who said, well, look, the NBA's put their biggest stars on these things to practice. So you're not going to take a chance with the biggest stars in the NBA when you've got $50 and $60 million invested in them if you didn't think it was a safe thing. And some NBA teams have been practicing on them. So it's not like they've never done it before. Hey, we're going to try to play football on foam rubber. Never been done before. No, it had been done before at the highest level. But I agree. They need to get their kids on it. They need to find out what kind of shoes to wear. And if there is slickness, they need to not play on it.
No, absolutely. But I would be interested maybe if the Big 12 were to do an anonymous survey on this, like if players and coaches were in favor. I'd be very curious as to those responses.
like they do with the NFL. They vote. They rank. Where do we rank our owner? Where do we rank our team travel? Where do we rank our?
Because, like, you know, when you put these kids on the spot and their name and their face and their university is attached to it, are they maybe necessarily going to say what's truly in their heart of hearts? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no.
All right,
but you give them the anonymous survey.
Let me ask you
maybe
this.
The truth sets them free.
You, for 4 years at Miege, were a yell leader for the Stags.
You know, I was following in your footsteps. I heard you were a yell leader down in Edmond, Oklahoma.
Oh, in Oklahoma City, I yelled a lot, but I was playing in the game when I was yelling. What do you think? Do you think that high school teams and stuff ought to play on this a little bit? Test it out with them a little more?
I don't know, because that level of athlete is not the same level of athlete out here. I mean, I went to a bunch of high school basketball games this year.
You're high school. Miege has had players over the years that are better than some of the guys who are playing in the
I know my
12.
junior year there were 4 Division I players in the starting lineup at Miege,
but they're not as good as the Big 12.
But the thing is I mean, these teams have 15 Division I players on their roster. It's a different kind of deal. So, I mean, would you learn some stuff from these high school athletes? Yes, but I mean, in the high school basketball, you're also going to get 5'9" guys that can't dunk a basketball, and you don't see that in college.
All right, you've been dying to talk about Mizzou basketball all day long.
Mark Mitchell, former Bishop Miege Stag, star for the Tigers, also a left-hander like me.
Yes. Unlike you, though, Mark can run and jump and dunk.
Yeah, he's very athletic. So, that's where the comparison's in. Mark, Miege, and left-handed.
So Missouri, by all measures, is going to make the NCAA tournament again.
I think they're right on the bubble.
You're going to be there over in Columbia on Sunday. Will your wife let you go?
Yes, she will. I mean, it's for work, so yeah.
She'll let you go out of the state. Okay.
Hey, happy wife, happy life.
Well, that's for sure. but so, what are your thoughts? I mean, I think, first of all, they were so bad first semester. To see them improve says a lot about Dennis Gates' ability. Everybody says, well, he's a good recruiter, but he can't coach. He does coach because his teams improve over the course of the year. Now, it's true they have not gotten hot in the postseason yet. Okay, they won one game in the postseason. Last year, tremendously disappointing game against Drake and Wichita that I got a chance to cover. My question is, do they make the tournament? What seed are they going to be in your mind?
So I was doing a little research before I came into work today on this subject. I mean, Missouri is squarely on the bubble just because they've had good wins. They beat the University of Florida this year, the defending national champions, but they've also, we have to say it, they've had some slip-ups, and they were saying that Missouri is right on the 11-seed line, where they could be one of the 2 11 seeds that makes it into the NCAA tournament, or they could be 2 of the 11 seeds that have to play in the play-in games. I mean, Missouri, they have no one to blame but themselves. Like, they've shown that they can beat some of the best teams in the country, and they've shown that they can flop. But I love what you said there about Dennis Gates, because he really does get this rap as a guy that can assemble a roster, get them there to campus, but maybe is not a good coach. But just as you said, I mean, this was a team that was really struggling early on. Like, they lost to Notre Dame, they lost to some bad teams.
Humiliated by Illinois.
And yeah, exactly. And a rivalry matchup. And they could have, I mean, that team could have thrown in the towel. I mean, it's the transfer portal era. Look at what happened to Kansas State. Their season gets derailed early, and they absolutely fall off the rails. That is the exact opposite of what happened in Columbia, Missouri. Dennis Gates is a similar of talent, but he's also had to find out his rotations. And I think actually one of your Oklahoma boys from, I think he's Oklahoma City area, T.O. Barrett, how he's kind of emerged over the course of this season. And then, I mean, so long way to say, do I think Missouri makes the tournament? They are right on the bubble.
And look who they lost to. They lose to Kentucky. And I know Kentucky is not as good as they were a year ago under
Arkansas
Mark Pope,
twice.
But the reality is Kentucky's got talent. And Kentucky's a good program, so it's not like they got beat by the dregs of the league. You know what I mean?
Mississippi State of those, yeah.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. I do think they're firmly into the tournament based on what they've done in the conference. They have a winning record in the conference. Their first semester was completely forgettable. They get killed by Kansas and then absolutely get embarrassed in the bragging rights series.
But I gotta ask you, so if they're projected as an 11 seed, how do you feel they're firmly in? Like that's about as close to the bubble.
Because I don't believe they're 11. I think they're higher than that based on their wins. You got to fill it out. They got to find 68 teams.
Yeah.
And they're probably considered one of the best 68 teams based on what they've done the second semester. Recency does matter with the committee. They do look harder at what you do more recently than what you did at the end. Now, they end up the season, they get run at Oklahoma in a game that was closer than the final score. And that game last night was there for the taking, and they did not get it done against Kentucky. My Missouri friends are very angered, but I do think they get the top recruit in the country coming in next year.
They have 2 5-stars. Yeah.
I think they have a chance to be really, really good in the future. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
I got one more question for you here. I know you covered college basketball for a very long time. If you go to the play-in games, do you consider that making the NCAA tournament?
I do, but I don't think the players do. I've heard that from assistant coaches and players. I go, what's that like? It's not the same. It's a little better because now it's people know about it, so they pay more attention. The games are usually pretty good games, and some better teams have been in it. It's not all little mid-major teams. Occasionally, a big boy gets in there. So I think that they've done a better job of selling it. But Mark, it's just not the same.
Yeah,
it's just not the same.
They play the games in Dayton, Ohio, don't they? Like
a
kind of smaller gym. But hey, if you're in the field of 68, that should count.
So Dayton gets those games because Dayton makes their gym available for the entire tournament. If there's anything that was to happen, we all remember, or you don't remember because you're too young. When I was young, when I was in college, Kemper Arena collapsed. The roof on Kemper Arena collapsed because of snow, I believe. And the weight of snow that was the weight of the water that was when it started thawing. So it collapses. If anything were to happen to any facility, if a hurricane or tornado hit and damaged a gym, you play in Dayton. That's the fallback. Dayton makes their gym available, holds it for a month. And as a result, they get this. And it's become a pretty good deal. And Dayton's gotten behind it and tried to make it a better event for the schools that come in.
No, that is a good deal. Actually, here, I got a blast for the past for you. The last time I was in Kemper Arena, I believe it was for Barney on Ice when I was 3 or 4 years old.
I remember seeing you. You tried to skate around with Barney. It was really touching.
Oh, my goodness.
You know who practiced there yesterday?
Who?
The University of Kansas.
Yeah, there you go.
They went over and practiced at the Hy-Vee Arena.
Where they beat your Oklahoma Sooners for the 1988 National Championship.
Referees beat Oklahoma that year.
What about Danny Manning bringing up the ball? Billy Tubbs had never seen something like that.
Yeah, the 6 fouls he got probably were good. That was probably why he won. Mark, let's wrap this up really quickly. Who wins tonight?
Well, Arizona, Iowa State. I mean, I know there's a lot of Iowa State fans here, but I got to go with Arizona. I mean, they're the number 2 team in the country. They have 15 quadrant 1 wins, and they have, I mean, the depth of their lineup is really unbelievable. And then the late game, Kansas against Houston. I mean, Kansas did beat Houston in Allen Fieldhouse a couple weeks ago. I was up there. That was a very, very physical game. Darren Peterson did not have a great night, but he did play a lot, and Trey White played really well. But I know the game's here in Kansas City, but who is Kansas? We don't really know. Do they show up? Sometimes. Sometimes they don't. And for that, I'm going to have to go with the Houston Cougars.
I love Kelvin Sampson, an old Oklahoma coach, but Kansas wins this game. Kansas wins. They did not play well yesterday, but they found a way to win. They win tonight. The crowd will play a big role. And I actually think Iowa State is going to get such a boost. I think the Cyclones, I think Arizona's a better team, but I think the Cyclones win this game because of all the folks who are walking by carrying tall boys and wearing their Cyclone stuff.
Well, and how many times have we seen Iowa State play so well here in Kansas City, and then, I mean, when the NCAA tournament comes around, not maybe play up to their potential?
All right, real quick, what do you got coming up for us on KCTV 5 News at 6?
So at 6 p.m. we're going to be talking about these big games here. We're also going to be talking about something we've been talking about kind of at length here. Neal Jones has a great package on the hardwood floor, plus the K-State basketball program. I know we're talking about teams that are still playing, but they have announced and hired a new basketball coach. We're going to dive a little bit into his backstory and kind of how he got to Manhattan. Going to be pretty fun.
Very good. Mark Poulose, thanks very much for watching us here on KC Sports tonight. And remember, we're going to be here Monday through Friday at this same time, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Sometimes we break a little early because we're thirsty or we want to, we're over here. We smell ribs.
I want to try the BYU churro that they have out here. I heard that one's really good.
Someone said they have barbecue here. I'm going to go try their barbecue before the 6th. But thank you so much for watching us. We'll see you both at 6 o'clock tonight with Mark and at 10 o'clock tonight with Mark, and I'll be down here covering the big games. Have a great evening.